Hey, Bobby here with Coder Foundry. And one thing that we're seeing over and over again as our students interview for roles is the same coding challenge popping up. And this has been shown on various testing platforms like HackerRank or CoderByte, or they're just asking this during interview, but it's the same question. It's check to see if a string is a palindrome. Now, at Coder Foundry, if you come through our in-person course or you've taken our in-person or a self-paced course, we cover this question exclusively. But sometimes when you get asked in an interview situation, you can panic because you haven't prepared. And so even if you're a mid or a junior out there interviewing, you may get asked this, and sometimes you can fail it because you're not prepped. All right. So I thought I would take just a few minutes here to explain what a palindrome is and how to solve it. Now, what is cool about this, if you go to learn.coderfoundry.com, you can get this question covered in detail in a video that I make, as well as the solution and the source code for it, as well as 10 other ones that we see quite a bit. This is a free course that you can just go to learn.coderfoundry.com, sign up for a free account, and take our JavaScript coding challenges course. And we cover 11 of the most popular challenges that we see during interviews, the ones that we see our students get when they're trying to get roles. All right, so we built an app here to do this, and we're going to actually allow you to type in a word here, click this button, and it's going to tell us if this is a palindrome or not. Now, the other case that you'll see for this is you'll get things like Eva, can I see the bees in a cave, as one of your tests. And so that is a phrase. And you notice here, if I just reverse this as it stands, the first word would be a question mark. And we also have these spaces, which would throw off our reverse as well. So what you need to do is remove the special characters like comma, question mark, and spaces out of your string and then reverse it. And that's one of the tricks that can trip you up when you're doing this seemingly easy question. Okay, so in case you don't know what a palindrome is, it's just a word or a phrase or another sequence of characters which reads the same backwards as forward, such as madam or race car, or a phrase like Eva, can I see bees in a cave? Now, what we're going to do is account for special characters. We're going to account for uppercase and lowercase, because if you didn't know this, if you reverse a string, but one of the letters is uppercase, it won't match. And so we need to handle that problem as well in here. So let's get to work. Let's code this up here in a few minutes and see if we can help you get that next interview question solved and get that job we're all looking for. All right, so I'm going to write a function here, and I'm using JavaScript for this, but this could be C# or Python or whatever the coding language they're asking you to write it in. And so don't get hung up on the syntax here if you're using a different language. Also, I'm fully aware that there's other ways to create a function here in JavaScript, but I'm using this this very clear function definition because you may be using another language, right? All right, so the thing that we got to do is we got to write a function that returns true or false. So I'm going to use some comments here. Return true or false. Okay. And one of the things when you're solving coding challenges that I like to do is write my comments first, my pseudocode, so I know the steps that I have to do, and then just solve the steps underneath each comment, and it leads me to a better solution. And sometimes it can, if I write the pseudocode first, I can better understand what I'm trying to do. So what are we trying to build here? Well, we've got to check to see if the word is the same forwards that it is backwards. So the first thing we would need to do is remove any special characters or spaces. So we just want that. And the way that I can do this is I'm going to create a variable here, and I'm going to call this clean string. And I'm going to use the parameter value that's being passed in, my str here, and I'm going to say replace. And I'm going to use a JavaScript function here and then use a regex to only return numbers and letters. Okay, And that's easily accomplished like this. And then I'm going to check it for case insensitivity and global. And then if I find something that's not in this list here, let me put a little caret here. It'll return an empty string. So what it'll do is remove anything that's not A through Z or 0 through 9 and replace that with an empty string. All right. So this is going to remove any special characters. So now we have our clean string here. It's cleaned up. And now we need to convert it to lowercase. So let's convert to lowercase. So our test will work. So when we check to see if it's a palindrome, our check will work. And this is one of the things that trips people up, is that you need to convert it to lowercase or handle it in case there is uppercase letters. So I'm going to handle that by taking this clean string here, and I'm going to return it to lowercase. Use another JavaScript function. Boom. Okay, so now my clean string is converted to lowercase. So now any uppercase will be gone. And so now if I check to see if the reverse string is the same, it'll come back and check correctly for us. So let's create another variable here. We're going to say reversed string. Set it to empty string. Now the next thing we need to do is reverse the string. Create a reversed string. All right. So, okay, how could we do that? Well, there's multiple ways we could do it. We could use a built-in function called reverse, but typically the reason I'm not going to show you that is because typically they ask you to do it a certain way. It could be with a recursion algorithm, which is covered on our in our course, but the most popular way and the most straightforward way is use a decrementing for loop, and that's what I'm going to do. And so I'm going to write a for loop in here, and when I'm writing a decrementing for loop, I want to start at the end of the string, and then I want to work my way back to the beginning of the string and add each letter as I go to my reverse string variable here. So in a for loop, I've got to tell it where to start, and so instead of index 0, I want to start the end. So I'm going to start the end of my clean string, which is the length of the array. Now, if you didn't know this, strings in JavaScript are an array of characters. So we can loop over them using array functions and access each letter by its index. And the index of a string will start at 0. So the length will give us the total number of characters in the string, but the index will be the length minus 1 because the first index is 0. Right? And then I want to loop over until it's greater than or equal to 0. So as long as it's greater than or equal to 0, keep looping. And in each iteration of this loop, I want to reduce my index by 1. And so this is called a decrementing for loop. It means we're counting backwards. We're starting at the end and counting backwards and checking to see, have I reached the end yet, or the beginning. And in our case, the beginning is index 0. All right. So now, simple method is reverse string. We're going to add to this each character in the string, and we'll say clean string, and then we'll pass it the index. Boom. So now our string is reversed. So it'll loop over this, and for each character, we'll add that character in reverse to reverse string and slowly build out a string with each character. And then we need to do is check to see if it is a palindrome. Okay, so we'll use an if statement here to do that, and we'll say if clean string equals reverse string. And this is important to note here if you're new to JavaScript or coding languages. This is an assignment. This one equal here, this double equal, will check to see if these are equal. Okay, it's not an assignment. It's an equality check. And if those are equal, say return true, else return false. Okay, so that's our palindrome function here. And so now let's check to see if this works. So we got our UI here. I'm just going to type in the word radar. And boom, it says the word or phrase is a palindrome. Neat. Or what if I type in this sentence here, this phrase? Okay, and we'll do that. Boom, it's also, the phrase is a palindrome. And so what if I type in just Bobby, and I can check it, and it says the word or phrase is not a palindrome. So this is how you would solve palindrome. If you want to see how we built this UI, or this cool UI that we have built out here, and how to make this into a coding project, go to learn.coderfoundry.com. We got a free project to help you find that next position, and it's the 11 most common coding challenges that we've come across. This palindrome question is very popular, so I hope this helps someone solve this in their next coding challenge and get that next coding job. Well, I hope this helps. Good luck and keep coding.